wherever you're listening, Twitch, iHeartRadio, honestly, YouTube. I'm still new to this live stuff, so wherever you're getting the live show right now, we greatly appreciate it. Your co-host Connor Miles here. I got Tyler Sedge in the house. Tyler, what did you think about this loss to Washington, man? I know you were frustrated.
Sorry, I'm letting everybody know that we're live on Twitter. Dude, there's so much that that we should be discussing. I mean,
all right, we got our daily crash. The daily crash happened. Now we're done with it.
I was just chugging along. I was just chugging along to the episode. I turned host. Dude, the game, it's so many emotions. I mean, you're excited. It's week one. You know that there's going to be a lot of new shit. New offense, new receivers, new looks. Wentz, how's he going to play with this offensive line that's dismantled? There's excitement, but there's also like, you know the reality. So when they go up 17-0, it's exciting as shit. You're like, okay, we're gonna start off 1-0, and then all of a sudden shit goes south.
I was like, oh, we're gonna win. Fine, 1-0, let's go. Like this, we're looking at. And now Haskins played like crap. Like, dude, they lost to a Washington offense that looked awful. Like, it was the turnovers, obviously, and then giving them possessions in the red zone that really killed the defense. Because I was killing the defense on here when I was making my quick hits in the beginning of the week, and then I started going back because the All-22, of course, isn't out yet. But I believe Washington had about almost every every turnover was close to the red zone or was in the red zone. So, you put your defense in a position like that, you can't, I'm not going to kill the defense, that's for sure.
No.
But,
I think that's what we're doing here, right? I mean, that's why we kind of wanted to talk tonight is as shitty as the loss was, as crappy as it is to lose to a team with no name, as crappy as it is to start 0-1, there were positives. There were plenty of positives, and anybody who follows me on Twitter, I mean, I'm an optimistic person. I'm an optimistic fan. But I'm not going to sugarcoat things. Carson Wentz did not play a good game at all, and we'll get into that. The defense played an amazing game, but you would like to see them maybe create a turnover or two. You would like to see them, stop in the red zone, because 27 points, despite, the positives the defense showed, 27 points is a lot of points. I don't care how crappy the offense played. And you're seeing, this was 2018, 2019. It's a combination. If the offense is not playing well, if Doug Peterson isn't calling a good game, if Wentz is holding the ball too long, it oftentimes has a trickle effect on the defense. And you're seeing that again from this past weekend. The offense started off hot, defense was playing well, and then as soon as the defense started to struggle, as soon as the offense started to struggle, turn the ball over, give the defense short fields, immediately things changed. There's a lot of reactions to this game. Go ahead.
Can you believe Doug? Can you believe that?
With
the second half? The whole entire game plan, actually, to be honest with you, because they, Deshaun 54. All right, so you're a big Deshaun guy. Everybody knows it. So I get to finally talk to you because this is the first time Tyler and I are talking since the loss. What did you think about putting Deshaun on a snap count? Tell me that's not the dumbest thing you ever heard.
It was ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
That's the dumbest. So to explain why I think that's the dumbest thing that I've ever heard. What is the question that we ask about Deshaun right now? Is he going to be here next year? We don't know. Most people think he's not. You, on the other hand, think it's doable, but I think perhaps he's not. But anyways, it's in question no matter what. Why would you put a player that is not in your long-term plans on a snap count? Blows my mind. It blows my mind to preserve his long-term health. I get that, dude, but if Deshaun gets hurt, so be it, to be honest.
100%.
If it happens, it happens. So be it.
You don't fucking sacrifice losses.
John Hightower, you and I like John Hightower, completely wasn't ready. Looked like a deer in headlights out there.
The drop. It's funny. So the reports out of camp was John Hightower hadn't dropped one pass all camp. And it's like, Well, now that now that the lights are on, yeah. By the way, my setup is just one guy.
Yeah, we all know a guy. We see it, bro.
Yeah, no, I'm in the process of getting a man cave. It's nothing. It's never going to be somewhat like Connor's, but yeah, the chat's going wild on your backdrop. It's nuts. No, but I mean, going back, I mean, Deshaun, that was the biggest question mark I had, and like going back to years past, the biggest frustration with Doug Peterson is he has just so like, despite him winning a Super Bowl, despite him having like these incredible stretches with these backup quarterbacks, despite him having these seasons with Carson Wentz, he still has these moments of like, why are you throwing the ball 42 times? Why, when you know you have a banged up O-line? Why do you decide? I don't know if you guys remember 2017, the game against the Chiefs when the Chiefs had Alex Smith. Pretty similar, that Week 3 game, or Giants as well. I mean, Doug Peterson has a tendency to start seasons very, very slow and make you scratch your head and say, what the fuck are you doing? And there was plenty of that on Sunday. But I think the Deshaun Jackson snap count didn't make any sense. Excuse me, my phone's going off.
This guy.
Relax. That was the most frustrating thing, other than like the breakdowns and the sacks and the turnovers. I mean, why is
Dakota just hit that on the head. I was so mad. Dude, your offensive line is getting destroyed. Absolutely destroyed. The one thing that I always loved about Aaron Rodgers is if the Packers O-line started to fail, the pressure was still neutralized because he just killed you with the quick passing game. Killed you with it. He could get the ball out real quick. I think Carson could do that when you have guys like Rager, Deshaun, Ertz that could all do intermediate stuff, do the slants, do the outs. Where was that?
I'm telling you, so there was a clear, it was a clear like case of like getting way too trigger happy. The offense hit, opening drive. I think it was like a 6-play, like they went down and scored in like 4 minutes. It was a beautiful drive. They go up 17-0. The last 2 seasons, this team hasn't had any weapons that could stretch the field whatsoever. I think Doug Peterson just had a classic case of, oh shit, I'm not accustomed to this. Got too excited, got overzealous, and
That's
they
exactly
were just.
What I think.
I mean, and again, as frustrating as it is, we need to like. Yes, you could be frustrated, but it's football. This is a game of adjustments. This is a week-to-week game. There is no sport that requires more adjustments, more game planning than the NFL. So if you have a frustrating week, and Doug Peterson was frustrating as hell, Carson Wentz was frustrating as hell, there's a lot of moving pieces. I will never be somebody who's just ready to change my win total, to change my projections, to change my predictions, to change my overall like mood towards the team. This doesn't mean the team's going to all of a sudden not make the playoffs. This doesn't mean the team's all of a sudden going to suck on offense. This doesn't mean all of a sudden Carson Wentz isn't worth that big contract. The overreactions are nuts. And I don't want to dive too much into that, like, negativity, but, like, as Eagles fans, we really got to be better, man. Like, we got to be better just as, like, I have it's good to see you too, Life of Philly fan. That's one of the most frustrating things. I have a pretty good pulse. Me and Connor, I mean, we've been on Twitter for a long time. And, I mean, when we're talking about, like, when we do these live shows and we're reacting to fans and people, sorry, my dog wants to go inside. When we're reacting to, like, the pulse of fans and, like, the narratives, these are coming from fans that we follow, beat writers that we follow. And like, it just seems that every single season, the fuse or the leash gets shorter and shorter and the reactions get crazier and crazier. And I mean, again, it's week 1, guys. We got to relax. We have to relax on this. If you couldn't see the positives, then I can't help you. But there were plenty of positives to take away from this game. My rant's done.
Sorry, I was muted anyways. But my thing is, I think you hit it right on the head. They got way too overzealous. They thought, I got all this speed. Doug was like, I'm going to try to be the Chiefs. I got all this speed now. I'm going to try to let it rock. And John Hightower is really young. I don't know what that was, though, to be honest with you. If you got all this speed, why would you take your most polished speed guy off the field? Why would you barely use him? I mean, he's dude, to preserve Deshaun after he misses a whole entire season, has the whole offseason to be preserved, and doesn't play in a preseason, and you're going to tell me dude, that's just so dumb. This isn't like Deshaun's a third-year player, second-year player, where you want his long-term health because he's very important to the team. This is a veteran who is on the end of his career. Like, we don't know if he's going to be in the NFL next year or a year after that. That's what I just thought was crazy, dude. And then the phasing of Zach Ertz out of the game plan, everybody's talking about it now. It happened. That was a real thing. That was an absolutely real thing. They game planned all around Dallas Goedert, which, if that's what they want to do, fine. But I feel like you have to include Zach Ertz in some capacity. The way you did it on Sunday was ridiculous. That's not going to work. Something we need to pay attention to as fans, and this is going to be something I evaluate and have my eyes on every single game. Yes, Yes, the Eagles have speed. Yes, they can stretch the field. Yes, they haven't had that in the last 2 seasons. There still needs to be a blend. Your go-to, the beauty of your offense, the biggest advantage that you have across the rest of the league is you have 2 tight ends that are probably top 10. One is definitely top 5, and one is arguably top 10. So despite you being able to stretch the field, despite you being able to have these receivers that can run goes, you still need to blend in 2 tight end sets. And they started the game that way. But again, it seemed like once they started to hit on a few things, Peterson got away from it. And again, Peterson has been, just as much as we're going to critique Wentz for being in year 5, Peterson, this is year 5 as well. He's got to figure this out, because nobody's going to help the quarterback more than his head coach. And again, I'm not making excuses for Carson Wentz, because some of the decisions he made, some of the off accuracy throws that he made, the sacks that he made, he's been in the league way too long to make some of the plays that he made. And I tweeted that today. I mean, he's way too good of a player to make some of the decisions. When you're going into a game, when you know you have a 4th-round draft pick at right tackle, when you have your backup running back, there's going to be miscommunications. There's going to be times where there's going to be unwarranted sacks. You can't, letting a team like Washington, that's why that loss is so frustrating, is letting a team like Washington, that you are so much better than, you basically gave them that game. And why. Go ahead. Quick thing I want to say before I address what Sam says. You get these games from Carson Wentz, and the only season you didn't get it was in 2017, where he looks like that. It's 2016 versus the Bengals. He looked like that. He was a rookie. They threw it 60 times. Doug didn't bail out his quarterback once again. 2018 against New Orleans, where he had 2 interceptions, a bunch of fumbles, looked awful, was frustrated as hell. Doug Pearson doesn't help as quarterback. 2019 versus the Seahawks at home, not in the playoffs, but during the regular season. He looked like that. He fumbled a lot. He looked erratic. Just looked awful. The offensive line was all banged up. Now, Washington, he looked like again. So you get these one. This is the good and the bad with Carson Wentz. When things start breaking down, he wants to put it on his shoulders and be the Superman. And like I said multiple times on Eagles Brawl, we love him when it works. We crush him when it doesn't. But I want to address what Sam said right now. And this is a new theory I've been coming up with lately, where this question that if you guys can't see, which is obviously on the screen, but for when we make a podcast, do you think that's going to be a thing all season, them game planning Goddard over Ertz? I kind of do, Tyler. And I'm not going to agree with that, because you know how you and I are super crazy high on Zach Ertz. But everybody talks about this Rich Scangarello hire as to how it's going to help Carson Wentz, how it's going to make him move out of the pocket. Why aren't we talking about how it's going to help Dallas Goedert? He came from the 49ers, where they have George Kittle. He knows how they're using him there. Everybody compares Goddard to how Kittle plays the game. You see week 1, they go into that game, and they used the quick screens to Goddard. I mean, Kerrigan blew up one, but the other one was some short outs and all that stuff. You saw how they used Goddard. I'm not going to get into it, but you saw how they used Goddard. That was reminiscent of how the 49ers ran the offense through George Kittle. So I'm wondering if Rich Scangaro's presence isn't just about what we can do with Carson Wentz outside the pocket. It's what we can do to maximize Dallas Goedert, because for some reason the Eagles have no problem paying Jason Peters a couple more $1 million because he's going to play a different position, but they struggle to pay the Hall of Fame tight end who's been with them throughout his whole entire NFL career, who's helped them win a Lombardi trophy. There has to be a reason behind that, and maybe the reason is they want to see if what the concepts that Scangarello is bringing to this offense can maximize Dallas Goedert's potential to what everybody else is seeing on Twitter, what everybody else believes too, to be this next Kittle and stuff like that. Because if Goddard proves that, they're gonna move on from Ertz. If Goddard proves that, they're gonna move on from Ertz. It's unfortunate to say, but that's what's gonna happen.
Couple things. Yes, he has San Francisco influence on him, but one of the biggest things we wanted going into week 1 was misdirection, rollouts, play action, and we didn't get any of that shit.
No.
And Goddard's production wasn't any of that. Goddard's production was, he had a seam ball that was he tracked that ball so well. That was such a good catch. And then he had some rack. He hit a curl, I think, like in the middle of the field and then picked up like 20 extra yards. That's where Dallas Goedert thrives, and that's where Zach Ertz doesn't thrive. And I think that's where fans start to nitpick on what Zach Ertz can and can't do. But also heading into the game, I remember talking to you about fantasy, and you and I were like, Zach Ertz averages like 10 Connor, or I saw your name pop up, like 10 catches a game. Like, I think Washington going into the game, two things. I think Washington expected Ertz to go off. One thing I also think affected Philly's game planning or offensive game plan was Rager. It was set like last week that he was going to miss week 1. I think the team was even surprised that he played. Going into the game, I don't think that they expected Rager to have the week of practice that he did. So I think next week against the Rams, he'll be revamped up. I think that Rager is going to be somebody that's going to get way more targets early on, and I think you'll see him involved in the game plan with the quick outs, the speed motions, the jet motions, excuse me. I think the game plan was severely affected as far as for Rager because of his injury. And I don't think people really factored that in. But then again, it's really hard to question because Deshaun was expected to play and then he played 50% of the snaps.
I agree with you, Rager's a long-term, but Rager's their long-term playmaker. That's what they were hoping he could be. If he didn't get injured, I think he's way more part of that game plan week 1. I agree with you. I think that absolutely. Look at the corners that they were playing. Look what he did to Darby right away. I think if they had more indication that he was going to play before a couple days leading up to the game, they would definitely. I fully agree with that.
I do. I just like overall, I don't want to hone in too much on negativity. Like I think that the week 1 game was a game they should have won. They let it slip. Not too much.
I agree with this comment from Dylan here. I don't understand, dude. I really don't understand.
That's what I'm getting at. They should have used Rager on jet sweep screens, etc. You got to get him in space. I agree. I just think that going into the game, I think the team thought they would not have Rager, and then I think that he progressed throughout the week, had the week of practice that he had.
So you think you might not have Rager, but you decided to preserve Deshaun anyways. Because I agree with you. I think they didn't think they were going to have Rager. I think that's dead on. So you're like, all right, John Hightower, it's all you, bud.
And I think that's why he saw snaps too.
What type of Super Bowl winning coach? That's where I look at Doug Peterson and I'm like, dude, you always have these games where you just have these brain farts, man. You just have these absolute brain farts. When things start not going, when things go out of structure, this is why I think Carson Wentz and Doug Peterson are like the best combo you can find for like a couple, because
they're polar opposites.
When every time something falls out of structure with the Eagles on offense, Doug Peterson and Carson Wentz revert to like one of the most awful head coaches ever. Carson plays like crap, and then
Doug by how ready he
calls like crap. Yeah, right.
The redder Carson Wentz gets in a game, the worse he's going to play. If you see a quick snippet of Carson Wentz on the sideline just angry and red, he's going to throw an interception when he goes back onto the field. It's just a proven fact. That's funny. That they do. They kind of
I want them to evolve past that, because here, we already know Carson Wentz is a lot better quarterback than Nick Foles, so I'm not gonna. Don't take this that way. But Doug and Nick had that median, though, where he could rein Nick in. I want to see him find that with Wentz, because I question if they have that. I haven't seen it yet. So when Nick gets a little erratic, or like when Nick looked the way he did to end the 2017 season, Doug was like, I'm going to rein you in now. I know that you can't just go out there like Carson. You can't perform like he can. I'm going to rein you in. I'm going to do my whole entire system, tailor it to what you do best, and we're going to go out there and win the Super Bowl. And they did. Where is that with Carson? Doug has this thing where he's like, Carson Wentz is the best player on offense. I'm going to let him go ahead and handle this, and he's going to do what he needs to do. That's it. That's what they believe. They have a right to believe that. But there's going to be games. We need Carson Wentz. You're hoping gets into like serious playoff games and when he gets into those serious playoff games, he's going to be facing. There's going to be something wrong. Nothing is in structure when you're that deep into the playoffs. There's always an advantage, disadvantage, always something like that. I mean, the record doesn't even matter there. It's win or go home. So I need to see Doug reining Carson Wentz a way that I haven't seen before because it hasn't been there yet.
I mean, that's kind of scary to think and to say in year 5. You don't want to say I haven't seen something from my head coach / QB and I'm hoping to see it in year 5. But I mean, I don't think there's a question that Carson Wentz, Doug Peterson together need to get better at hitting chunk plays rather than home run or 3-yard check down. There needs to be an in between. And oh no, we lost my guy Connor. Good. Hold on.
We're about to start using StreamYard, and Restream's not working out for me right now.
We're working out the kinks, man. We're working out the kinks.
So, yeah, third live show.
But going back, I mean, it's no secret. Carson Wentz and Doug Peterson need to be better at hitting the chunk play rather than the home run. There needs to be more singles, doubles, and triples. And not enough. Like you can't be swinging for the fences every fucking play. And I mean, like we talked about in the beginning of the show. I mean, you can't be doing that. And they had success with it. This full Carson hit Jalen Rigger. What was that? A 3rd and 22. The deep 55 yard. It was like a 3rd and 20. I know it was a 3rd.
Right on Ronald Darby's head, man. I loved it.
Yeah, but again, I mean, a 3rd and 22 and you hit a 55-yard connection. The chances of that being consistent, that's not going to be a thing that you're able to do. So again, there needs to be times where it's a 2nd and 5 or a 2nd and 7, rather than do your traditional. I'm just going to do a halfback dive or
for the discussion in the comments, because they're saying like the O-line was probably the reason why the sweeps and the screens didn't really happen. You know what was surprising? The right side of the O-line played better than the left side of the O-line.
Right side, yeah, new guys, yeah. By the way, Jack Driscoll. I mean, we're talking about positives. The sacks that were given up on the right side were all miscommunication. They were not like Jack Driscoll just being overpowered, which is what you want for a 4th round pick.
Especially
if you want to talk
his first game as a rookie,
if you want to talk about like Andre Dillard's like future being kind of smoky, if you want to talk about Lane Johnson, that's kind of nuts to have Jack Driscoll just step in. Are we good?
I apologize to everybody in the stream, man. I am gonna definitely use StreamYard from now on. Restream is not the move. If you see us keep crashing, Restream is why.
I'm just gonna start drinking every time that we get booted. I'll be drunk.
So yeah, you're talking about Driscoll looking good. I mean, Peters was really bad though, but I'm not giving up on him. I'm not waving the towel yet. Can we talk? He's been playing left tackle for a million years, so I would hope he could be up to par with that. But it's not like.
Let's talk about fucking Chase Young, by the way. I mean, they're gonna have to face him for the next 10 years, dude. That sack, that strip sack, is not normal. Like Corey. But
Jason Peters is also playing to play right guard the whole entire year. So I mean, the no reps at left tackle. I know. I'm not giving the excuse. He's a veteran. Yeah,
dude. The fact that this man got chipped. He got chipped, and then he just said, I don't care. Like he just landed on his feet and then just went and strip sack. Like that was one of the most ridiculous plays you'll ever see. I mean, that's Buffalo Chase Young. If you want to talk about a player that's going to be in the NFC East for the next 10, 15 years, that's crazy, dude. I do want to focus a little bit on the Rams, though. I want to move on. I think that we're going to see a way better product next week.
Absolutely. Lane Johnson's back. I think that's a huge. That's just the difference maker right there with Lane Johnson back.
Lane Johnson.
I think we match up with them pretty well though. That's the thing. Aaron Donald is an amazing player. He's going to do damage no matter what. Who else are we looking at on that defensive line though?
Yeah,
Michael Brockers. Brockers is a good player. They have Leonard Floyd now, who's good against the run, but he's not a pass rusher.
The Rams aren't a very. They're not a very good team.
They have a lot of holes. They have a lot of holes. Their offensive line is awful.
I mean, when you're paying three separate guys over $100 million in Donald, Goff, and Ramsey, you're going to have holes in your roster, and that's kind of where they're at right now. They just gave Ramsey $105 million. Miles being back, yeah. I mean, there were I think 2 sacks when I went back and watched the game. I think 2 sacks were on Scott. One of them was blatant. It was the one on the right side with Driscoll. And Scott, I don't know if that was on Driscoll or Scott, but then there was another one where Scott...
when you're asking Boston Scott to pass protect, you're probably not in the best situation right there, bud.
Sanders is definitely going to find himself. I mean, that's a huge advantage for them, and they missed him a lot. I think we got a little too excited with the Boston Scott train, and I think they did miss a veteran this past Sunday. I do. But I don't...
I'm not counting him yet.
I don't... Well, no, but here's the thing. I don't know if a veteran would have changed Doug Peterson's... I don't think that the game plan was bad. I really think that this fool just got too trigger happy. And I don't think a veteran running back would have changed that.
The game plan was bad. Yeah, I don't think... No way.
But the game plan was good. The game plan was good going in. That's why they go up 17-0. The adjustments were shitty. That's where I disagree. I think the game plan was just fine.
I think they surprised Washington by not playing to how they usually play, and that's why they went up 17-0 real quick. But I think once Washington made their second half adjustments,
put Max D up there. Put Max D. Max D's my guy. I love Max. Max is a guy.
But I think they surprised Washington, and then Washington makes those second half adjustments, and the Eagles can't do crap. But dude, it's not a good game plan if you're phasing out your most proven commodities.
100%. I mean, again, I think that's adjustment. I think the game plan is okay.
If they played the offense through Zach Ertz more than they did, the opening script was great. This is a good comment. The opening script was great. Mostly everything after was pretty bad. But if I'm fine with how they use Goddard. Obviously, that worked. But I would have definitely used Ertz more. Because, look, Landon Collins can't cover for crap. That's the only safety they have, really. And they had no linebackers, really.
Something that really did frustrate me that I think that it's been talked about and scrutinized. Carson Wentz's accuracy in between the numbers, which is where he normally thrives, was actually really bad.
You put Slay on Robert Woods, sir. We definitely put Slay on Robert Woods. You put Nicole Roby-Coleman on Cooper Kupp and let him have fun. I mean, even Maddox on Kupp.
I don't think Wentz's accuracy will continue into the Rams game. And I did want to talk about this going into the matchup because you hit on it. Slay will be on Woods more than likely unless he slides inside, because he will slide inside sometimes. He's versatile. But the beautiful thing about the Eagles, and you saw it against when McLaurin slid inside, it was rare, but he did. Darius Slade doesn't have to follow because the Eagles have such a good nickel corner. So when you have that, you don't have to put your number one corner and then
Vontae Maddox played really good.
The entire defense, and that's why I'm not worried about.
Dude, you gotta mute this. You gotta mute this little bellhead.
I'm sorry.
You got a microphone now. You got to tell everybody you got a microphone, like official microphone. You're not just doing the headphones anymore. We hear you perfectly.
Sorry, I didn't know you were gonna be. But I'm
so glad we got Slay. I'm so glad we got Slay. I am so happy. But no, I thought Vontae Maddox looked really good, which is a huge thing. Rodney McLeod looked good. Jalen Mills didn't really do anything to excite me yet. That was his first game out there. But Rodney McLeod was all over the place. Malik Jackson. These are the things that I look at against the Rams, where I'm looking at their offense. Their running game is still undecided. Malcolm Brown, everybody's hyping him up after week 1. That's going to die down eventually. Cam Akers is going to be that guy in that backfield. Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp, Josh Reynolds is a player. That's who I would honestly, because Eagles fans aren't thinking about this guy yet. Josh Reynolds is a guy that you want to highlight this week as a matchup that the Eagles might have to put Nicole Roby-Coleman and stick it on. Why are you shaking your head no?
Because,
Josh Reynolds is a player.
I like Josh Reynolds a lot. But I'm not worried about him going into this game.
I take speed. I take the speed seriously with the Eagles.
I would be more worried about
it's hard to cover speed.
I would be way more worried about Van Jefferson than I would be Josh Reynolds. And now Josh Reynolds is going to have 2 touchdowns.
Van Jefferson is nice, but I think Darius Slay could match up with Van Jefferson well. But now if you're talking with Avonte Maddox and Van Jefferson, then yeah, that's a matchup I'm a little bit worried about.
At the end of the day, the pressure will get to Jared Goff. That's all that matters. That's how you throw this offense off.
We hope. That's a thing that we can talk about right now because Brandon Graham concussion protocol, Vinny Curry out for a while. Josh Sweat, we all know that.
Came out like 15 minutes ago.
I know what you're going to say about Derek Barnett, but come on, man. I'm not really.
Whoa, I'm not even a Barnett guy like that. So
I know, but I don't really think that he's going to make that much of a difference on his first game back anyway. So
no, I mean Hargrave is potential. We'll see. I don't know. He's practicing for the first time. Graham got cleared. It sounded like Graham got cleared, and he's going to play. And then Sweat, obviously. But, I mean, the Rams' offensive line already going into the game is shaky. So that's a bad unit. That's a matchup that I think the Eagles should, in theory, take advantage of. And then, obviously, it's a West Coast team traveling to the East Coast. It's a 10 a.m. game. Well, for me on the East Coast, it's a 1 a.m. or 1 p.m. game. But I like this game a lot. Slay on Woods, the receiving core, the run game. I mean, the Eagles are pretty stout against the run. As far as matchups, and this is a matchup league, week-to-week adjustments, I will always reiterate that. This is a very good game for the Eagles. This is a very good bounce-back opportunity. And it's not against some like opponent that doesn't – that's just some like slouch. This will be a good win for some momentum, and I'm not saying it's guaranteed, but they should absolutely play well against this team.
If the defense, do you think the defensive line was a little disappointing in the second half?
No. I mean lack of turnovers. I mean, Wavy Davy. I think that this is Greg, right?
No, this is Davy.
Oh,
but anyways.
Creating turnovers. Yeah, I mean, you would like to create turnovers, but it's very easy to say when you don't and you lose.
That was the Redskins left tackle's first start. Morgan Moses is average. The left guard is whatever. The center is I thought they could have did a little bit better in the second half. Josh Sweat looked great. I thought Malik Jackson and Josh Sweat. Look, Fletcher Cox was tripled the team at some point. So everybody wants to kill him, but I mean that's the main focus of everybody on that line, no matter what, when you play the Eagles. So, not worried about Fletcher Cox. I'm praying to see the day that Javon Hargrave comes back. I hope it's sooner than later, and we need him back immediately. It's insane, yeah. And not only that, Malik Jackson looks fine.
Dude,
Malik Jackson looks rejuvenated. It's his redemption year.
There were
That's what I said on Twitter. I tweeted that out immediately. I was like, we should have been talking about Malik Jackson's redemption year a little bit more.
There were a lot of positives that were obviously hidden because of the loss, but Malik Jackson was one. Dallas Goedert obviously was the other, and then to me, Jack Driscoll. Those were the top 3 that kind of highlighted Week 1, but.
For Dakota asks, I'm scared who's blocking Donald. The Eagles find some kind of way, and Washington had a bunch of players, though, so it's hard to neutralize one player when you have Kerrigan, Monte Sweat, Jonathan Allen, Cameron Payne, all those guys, Matt Ariadis. That's hard to neutralize just one guy because those guys will overthrow you after that. But if you neutralize Aaron Donald, I think Michael Brockers is really good against the run. I don't think of him as a pass rusher. Leonard Floyd, I'm not worried about him. I'm not worried about Leonard Floyd. No. So if they double or triple team Aaron Donald, I think that – because everybody's scared about Aaron Donald, and I am too. I think he's still going to make plays no matter what. But if they double and triple team Aaron Donald like teams do to Fletcher Cox to neutralize him, looking at the people around Aaron Donald, nah, we're good. Like,
Dude,
I think that you could go into this game plan and do that.
Super sidebar. I'm super disappointed nobody's even commented on my Nelson Aguilar jersey. The Aaron Donald is super hidden. I mean, against the Eagles, he has been and has. But here's the thing: the Eagles have played the Rams late in the season every time, and Doug Peterson is normally fine, or at least Sean McVay and Aaron Donald. Because he's 2-0, right? Mm-hmm. Correct me if I'm wrong. 2-0. Yeah, and Aaron Donald's kind of been non-existent. Doug Peterson typically takes a few games to kind of find his rhythm. We're talking about head-scratching game plans, head-scratching decisions. They typically happen in the beginning of the season. So to go against the best defensive player in the league, week 2 is a little bit nerve-wracking, and they have Jalen Ramsey. Wentz needs to be better. If you're going to target Jalen Ramsey, it better be fucking calculated. I was going
to ask you something. You remember when Wentz targeted Jalen Ramsey when they played in London and to Josh Perkins?
Oh my god!
He got picked off that was one of his interceptions in the red zone. He got picked off by Jalen Ramsey because he threw it up for Josh Perkins.
And real quick, I'm glad you brought this up. Carson Wentz's struggles are not going to continue. Like, he's a good fucking quarterback. He'll figure it out. I don't think you guys understand. Like, the level of criticism, and Joe Giglio was on our show. It bothers the fuck out of me that, like, it takes one game for you to release an article and you're already bringing up, should the Eagles move on, blah, 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 blah. Like, that's the shit that, bothers the fuck out of me.
Did Joe do that?
Yes.
Did he really? I missed that, man.
That is the type of shit that bothers me. Like, one game took him to bring up the last 30 games, Wentz's record, when we're just going to ignore the injury and all the other, fucking things that we've talked about. Like,
God,
Wentz is going to...
so embarrassing. Now we even got Joe making these articles already, and it's week 1. Jesus, dude.
Yeah. I mean, Carson Wentz will be fine. Even, hypothetically, if he were to struggle week 2, I would still have confidence that he would bounce back in week 3 and be fine. So
I think he'll be fine. I literally started off the show with saying how he has that one game every year besides 2017. So I'm not really that.
Did you? I saw you kind of slightly compare to the game in New Orleans in 2018. I don't think it's there. I think that he just had a couple misfires.
It was close to probably the game versus the Seahawks in 2019. I thought that's what it was familiar to. Yeah.
Maybe the second half. I don't know.
Yeah, he was good in the first half, but I feel like his first drive against the Seahawks, it was good, I'm pretty sure. And then after that, he was sailing passes over Miles Sanders' head.
By the way, so in his press conference, Carson Wentz is he's doing the Andy Reid thing. It's on me, it's on me, it's on me. He's taking accountability. What's up with everybody saying oh, I'm so tired of hearing this. I'm so tired of hearing Carson Wentz. He hasn't been doing that. It's not like Carson Wentz has been blowing games. I just, again, this fan base and the way they react after losses is just. I'm over it, and I'm tired of because I always go after narratives. That is a tendency as a fan. I mean, for 8 straight years, I've been on Twitter since 2012. So after every game, I'm going after narratives, and now there's 5 to 10 narratives after every game that needs to be addressed, and it's I'm just tired of it, man. Carson Wentz is a good quarterback. Doug Peterson's a good coach. They'll figure it out. We'll be okay. Jamon Brown is going to be a starting right guard for sneaky solid sign. I do like the signing. I do like the signing a lot. I like the signing a lot.
I wonder what. And you're talking about Jamon Brown, the right guard that they signed. That's what Anthony brought up in the comments. But I wonder what Matt Pryor must have did. He must have looked so bad at practice. Do you
think it's one of those cases of they tried to cover themselves in 3 separate? It was right guard, and left tackle. So they were like, "Fuck, we need to cover ourselves." And then they finally were like, "Okay, we're going to put you." I think they finally, because they have depth at other positions, they said, "We're just going to put you at left tackle as the backup for Peters." And I think that's okay.
It's whatever, dude. I thought Matt Pryor was serviceable, and at this point, I was just hoping for serviceable players to fill in on the O-line. But clearly they see stuff. Yeah, exactly. They're seeing something that I'm not. So I'm not going to question it. I'm not there. That's just me as a fan's opinion in my man cave. Like I'm not. I don't have a legit voice in that. It was just odd to me that that's the route that they were going when Nate Herbert, we never even seen him. Now I don't even know if they're going to go to him at right guard this week. Who knows?
It sounded like during install this week he was still the right guard, and Pryor wasn't listed. It was Peter, Samalo, Kelsey, Herbert, and Johnson. So
I didn't think he played that bad. It's just an interesting guy. We've never really seen him before.
I mean, it's very easy to criticize an offensive line after 8 sacks, but Carson Wentz was responsible for a lot of those. I mean, I'm a huge Carson Wentz fan, but he did not play well. It was not a good game.
How many sacks in your opinion did he give?
There were at least 3.
That's why I said 3. I thought he gave up 3 sacks himself.
Yeah, there were at least 3, but I mean, even if you're going beyond that, I mean, when you're evaluating, I mean, it's not just sacks. I mean, it's decision making. It's the inaccuracy. Carson Wentz is very, very frustrating when he's off his game, because when he's on his game, top 5 quarterback, it's a clear. But when he's not, it's like, I just don't get it. I don't get, like, there was a video that went viral of Deshaun Jackson sitting at the sticks. He's clapping his hands. It's like a 3rd and 4, and he throws to Greg Ward over the middle.
That's where I think of Carson Wentz in those games, because he gets like that in those games where he's just like.
But it wasn't a bad decision. It wasn't a bad decision. Greg Ward got open. It was just a bad throw. It was just an off.
Yeah, so those are the times where you gotta take the easy outs, and Deshaun there in all that space, I'd take advantage.
In the NFL, that's an easy throw. I mean, it was literally an in route for, I don't know, 10 yards, and he had probably 3 yards of separation. He just threw it over his head. And that's where it's like, it's not a bad throw. So, like, of course it's easy for fans and everybody to say, throw it to Deshaun. Well, it's like, well, he had an open receiver. He just missed him. That's not a bad decision. And I promise you,
those plays, though, usually, I don't really care, to be honest, because you can't. I mean, if you played any level of football, Pop Warner, high school, anything like that, like
it's just
you can't analyze what's going through a guy's eyes on the field. So, like, I'm not. And Anthony's right. He probably was the last read on that play.
Deshaun was absolutely the last read. And yes, Carson needs to work on the fumbling, but this is the give and take you need to take. And it's very much easier to say when the team is winning that you take the fumbling with the I don't know, 30, 45 yard plays that he can make when he extends. Carson Wentz is never going to fix it. Yes, he's never going to fix the fumbling issue. I think that's like way less of an issue rather than his ability to get off his read. I think Carson Wentz's biggest issue.
Those can change a game, though. Those can change a game. So I'm not saying Carson Wentz is gonna be Carson Wentz. I completely agree with you. I've been saying it all week. Like, we know what type of player he is. Like, that's how he is. That's how he's been in North Dakota State. That's how he's been in the NFL. It's just. It's as the years go by, it's harder to get away with those things when you're looking at, like, we don't have the money to give you this big offensive line, like this best you usually have had. Like, there's some things that you have to rein in on. Is what I'm saying, but this coach doesn't really help out with that.
And real quick, because that's a beautiful point that you just put up. Beautiful point is because this team paid Carson Wentz the money that they did. They're not going to have a roster that can support him like they did in 2017. It's not going to happen. You're not going to have a backup quarterback step in.
We already see that. We see it right now, man. Like,
so why drafts are so crucial for Howie Roseman, and I think he knocked this last draft class out of the fucking park. I mean, all 7 draft picks were able to make the roster. I mean, that's huge for Howie Roseman. Carson.
Let me pose this question to you, because I talked about this on the podcast, though. If Jalen Reagor is the only rookie that that has any impact on the 2020 season from this class, that's a noticeable impact, are you disappointed then?
Jack Driscoll's already made an impact. I think he's already shown. I think he's already shown in one game that he's very serviceable to at least be a rotating backup swing tackle.
But I've always thought that anyways. I thought he was going to be the big V replacement in the first, like from the get-go. But,
and then obviously we'd never expected to see Jalen Hurts in year one. If you did see him in year one, or if we do, then shit went wrong, or an injury occurred. So that's hard.
Long-term injury. And Wentz is out for a long-term injury.
Yeah.
That's the only way to see Jalen Hurts.
I mean, yeah, there's a very good chance in year one that Rager is the only rookie that makes an actual immediate impact, but that is okay. That doesn't mean that is a bad draft class or bad on the GM. That's okay. You shouldn't rely on rookies to make an impact year one. If you get it, great.
They need to provide a spark. They need if the first round pick and the second round pick definitely have to, and you're potentially going into. I mean, again, Miles Sanders was a second round pick last year, but JJ Arcega-Whiteside. If you go through all these drafts, Sidney Jones is on the team anymore. Derek Barnett hasn't proven much. Like, these guys have to come in and show you, hey, your cap is getting a little bit tighter. We're the guys that are supposed to replace those high cap guys. We're supposed to at least give you these roles. And Miles Sanders is it, dude. That's the only person I could hang my hat on since the 2017 draft to say Howie Roseman got one spot down. Because the rest, it ain't happening. It has not happened. So I would be a little frustrated if this draft class only produces Jalen Rager. Because
I don't think we're there. I don't think we're there.
We're not there. But I think they're in a position. I think with the Eagles.
Here's my thing. Can I say this? Whether this draft class pans out or not, whatever your takes are on the overall team, whatever your takes are on Carson Wentz, whatever your takes are on Howie Roseman, what bothers me is you saw after this loss to Washington, there were a bunch of shit just released. Howie Roseman takes, Carson Wentz takes, Doug Peterson takes. One game shouldn't affect that. It shouldn't dictate. You shouldn't be here and then because of one game in week one on the NFL season, in the middle of a pandemic, in the middle of getting a new receiving core, it shouldn't just like dictate you to just be like, hey, I'm now here. That's not how it works, and that's what's frustrating. One game shouldn't affect your overall outlook on a player, a GM, a coach. That's not how it goes in the NFL. That's what frustrates me. It shouldn't take a game to Washington for us to be like, well, if Rager's the only guy. Like, nah, we should have had this discussion before. Because this game, it's one game in a long fucking season. So the take should have already been there. And if you critiqued Howie Roseman on this draft class before the season started, fine, that's fair. You have that take. But if you're going to do this after one game, I think he hit it out the fucking park. I think this draft class, if we're looking at it and we're evaluating it,
I think it has potential.
I think this draft class has a ton of potential.
This team never wants their second round pick to play for them, though.
But a second round pick, if you're relying on a second round pick in year one, that is bad.
Not year one. I'm saying ever. They don't want this guy to ever play for them.
And I agree. I think the Sidney Jones pick was bad. Now hindsight's always 20/20.
I'm with you. I get it. I get what you're saying. So I agree. I'm not basing. We should have had these conversations earlier. But I am a little worried because the cap, like we've noticed, keeps getting screwed. The Eagles keep getting screwed on injuries. The depth is what you're hoping is what you're drafting because a lot of these guys, Josh White might have to replace Brandon Graham at some point in the near future.
Next year, probably.
Jalen Rager or John Hightower both have to probably replace Alshon Jeffrey and Deshaun Jackson, theoretically. Andre Dillard's supposed to replace Jason Peters.
Let's put.
You get what I'm saying here, man.
Can you put that chat on the? Can you put Dakota's? Let's talk about the Tate and Avery trade. Yeah, so go into this real quick, Dakota, because I understand the logic behind it. So the Tate trade, it was a team that got momentum towards the end of the season, or they needed some type of momentum. So they gave I think it was a third-round pick that turned into a fourth-round pick because of Tate and the snaps and everything. I wouldn't fault that as a bad trade. I think
Tate was a fallback option. They were trying to get
Robbie. They were trying to get Robbie.
Yeah, they're trying to get Robbie, and the Jets want a second-round pick, and they weren't going to do that. So he's a fallback option.
Yeah, and we
talked. Yeah, we liked it when it happened. It was just a bad move.
And we talked about Avery. There is a clear. The biggest issue with the Philadelphia Eagles, there is a clear disconnect from this front office and this coaching staff. There is a clear disconnect of, hey, I think this player is good. I think that they could be used on our roster. And then the coach being like, or the coaching staff saying, we can implement this player into our game plan. That was the exact thing for Tate, and that's what's going on with Avery. Last year, we talked about this in the pregame show. Mohamed Sanu was traded for a second-round pick. There were a lot of guys that were like over-traded for. Like the value just should have never been there. Jannard Avery for a fourth-round pick is absolutely fucking disgusting for what they're doing right now. Like, he's not on the field. They're using him as a non-pass rusher. He's an off-ball. Mike K came on and said that they're using him as like a hybrid, like rover linebacker. That's just not going to fit for a fourth-round pick. So I don't think that the criticism of Howie Roseman should just be non-existent, but I also think that fans don't understand how good they have it in Philadelphia. I think that he's done a really good job the last 4 years of constructing a roster and doing a really good job of at least attempting. People are making it seem like he has done a really bad job of surrounding. He is not. The surrounding of Carson, he's done okay. But dude, the surrounding of Carson Wentz has been pretty okay. It's been pretty okay.
I don't think so. It's not been that I think you have it. I don't think it's been the best. Because, dude, come on. 2018, they only signed Mike Wallace. And, like, there's your speed guy, Carson. Dude, this guy has an arm. He wants to target people downfield. They finally.
I think that's a disconnect.
I think it is a disconnect. It is a disconnect. I agree with you.
I think that goes on Peterson. Just for us, if we're going to scratch our heads at Peterson during game plans and, like, during, like why are we up 17-7 and we're blowing a lead to the Washington no-name team? Same thing.
Why am I blaming Peterson for them not bringing in speed?
I'm blaming Peterson for. I think that again, there's a disconnect from the front office and coaching staff that if you sign a guy like Mike Wallace, you say we're good behind him. If he gets hurt, we're good. Nelson Aguilar will be able to take our deep threat. He wasn't a deep threat.
Well, in 2019, I mean,
and then what happened last year?
I would have signed even this year. I would have signed Brashard Perryman. I thought that was a lock. I thought they should have done that.
I don't think receiving core is the issue. I don't think receiving core is the issue at all. I would rather have John Hightower as my fourth receiver than Brashard Perriman because Brashard Perriman isn't going to be a top 3 receiver on this team. So I would absolutely be okay with John Hightower over a Brashard Perriman for $10 million a year.
Team?
Dude, Brashard
Perriman. $10 million. I don't think he got $10 million.
I think he got $8 million a year.
No, I think it was 6. But
either way, I'm still.
Brashard Perriman would be the third wide receiver on this team. It would have been Deshaun Rager. I
would so much rather develop a receiver for a long term.
So would I. But I mean, whatever you do with Hightower this year doesn't really determine what he's going to do for the rest of his career, though. I believe in him too. I mean, it's hindsight.
So let me ask you, what could Howie do different? Because it's super easy. I just hate that after every. I agree, and that is something that he should be better at. But again,
I'm gonna just say it now. I like Jalen Hurts. I think if Carson Wentz goes down for a long period of time, not this year perhaps, but maybe in years in advance, the Eagles are in a good position to still compete because they added the caliber of quarterback to do so. But I don't know how you can look at this roster top to bottom and say, you know what? In the second round, we can take this position to be the backup. I don't think you can, man.
That's such a closed like.
It's not. It's not. You have a wide receiver corps that Alshon Jeffrey talks shit on your quarterback behind his back.
You're asking your team to draft by need.
I'm asking them when they're on the board to take. Dude, Denzel Mims is highly regarded. Like nobody thought Jalen Hurts. I don't want to say that because I did think he was going to be a second round pick, but nobody thought Jalen Hurts was going to go to the Eagles, and you didn't either. So you didn't think they're going to take his quarterback in the second round, but. I'm not asking to take need. I'm asking to take where there's a Christian Fulton, AJ Espinosa, J.K. Dobbins, who would have helped you on Sunday, I think, at least. But
Again, it's very easy to say I would have loved to take this.
You get all those guys I just mentioned. You get contributions from this year and next year.
Why do they need to take a Christian?
Jalen Hurts.
What is Fulton doing this year?
He's starting for the Titans right now.
He's not in the slot. He's not starting over to Avonte Maddox. This logic of we should have taken this skill player, because he would have immediate impact, is very, very short-term thinking. If Jalen Hurts turns into just a decent quarterback in the NFL, then it was a good pick.
If he does, then Carson Wentz has been out for a long period of time, and then you don't even know if you can rely on him anymore.
No, who knows? But Jalen Hurts.
I would roll with Hurts. Then you got to go with Hurts.
Again, a week one loss shouldn't be changing opinions on this. That's my overall take, because I remember having conversations with this. I mean, we had conversations heading into the year. We got on board with the Jalen Hurts pick because it took time, but we understood it.
No, I understood the logic behind it from the Eagles standpoint, but
Howie Roseman's biggest issue with drafting. That is, it's not a fluke. It's his biggest issue. It's why
I still said I didn't like the pick, though, because I don't take it back a quarterback in the second round. It just doesn't happen. Just because Clayton Thorson didn't work out once doesn't mean I stopped trying with the mid-round picks. And you brought Josh McCown back to be your emergency quarterback on the practice squad. If Carson Wentz gets hurt, who do you think they're going to activate? They're going to activate Josh McCown. And then there's a question of Josh McCown, Nate Sudfeld, or Jalen Hurts. And who's going to win that discussion? Not Jalen Hurts. That's just my issue is, even if they went wide receiver, or even if they went O-line, because that would have shocked everybody. If they went offensive tackle, I think it would that's a little bit better too. But I know it's water under the bridge. I hate to debate about it, but I do think he needs to draft better, because these draft classes recently haven't put you in the position to survive, that potentially survive what's going to happen with this cap. I don't know what the Eagles are going to look like after 2021 with how this cap is panning out.
Andrew Pender put the linebacker one. This is what I mean with the talk. No, and with the linebacker question marks. This is what I mean right here. This is such short-term thinking.
It's not
with how much the Philadelphia Eagles, and Andrew, I appreciate you interacting. Like this is what we want. We want conversation. With how much the Eagles emphasize the defensive line.
They need one good linebacker. No, I'm not agreeing with you on this one. It's going to be a huge weakness for them. Then they're going to get exposed for it. They literally
had Nigel Bradham that they signed off the street.
He wasn't going to start, and he wasn't.
He was fine when they won the Super Bowl.
He was fine, but it was Michael Kendricks too. It was not just Nigel. But after that, downhill.
What is Michael Kendricks doing right now?
Because he freaking committed a crime.
What is Nigel Bradham doing right now?
On the streets.
These guys are not good. These are replaceable positions. They are not positions that should be drafted in round 2.
They need one good linebacker. I wouldn't say round.
A roster construction needs to have some balance, man. It would be like if you're emphasizing quarterback and you're emphasizing running back. Like, you can't continue to do that. I agree that Howie Roseman can be critiqued. It's not like he can't be critiqued, but the criticism has gotten ridiculous. And again, a loss week 1 shouldn't dictate, your overall consensus, like changing your opinion on a team. It's just nuts.
Joe Douglas definitely had played a huge part in this draft, but I mean, dude,
I don't like Joe
commented on it.
I think Joe Douglas is severely overrated.
To end this though, because we're taking a long episode. I do wonder what the end game is for Hurts. I think they're just gonna roll with it, and if Carson Wentz keeps getting hurt, then they have to go ahead and move on to Hurts. If not, then they either trade him or let him go. They feel like they got a serviceable amount of a backup quarterback on a rookie contract. But
if the Eagles win 17-16 last week, is your dog annoying you?
A lot of me.
If the Eagles win 17, if the Eagles win 17-16 last week, we're not having these conversations. All it takes is a win, and as much struggles as the team showed, the fans aren't having these conversations about Jalen Hurts. They're not talking about whether or not they should have taken a linebacker. Linebacker's fine. Defense is fine. They average 3.7 yards per play. I mean, the Philadelphia Eagles defense was absolutely fine last week. But again, hindsight's always 20/20. It's very easy to say that.
I think it would be a lot different if they had just a really talented linebacker. Because they only really need one linebacker. I think it would be different. I think you're tripping. But Deandre Brown did play good when he was here that Super Bowl season. He did play well.
They'll be fine.
I like this. I honestly think there should be more outrage over Taylor in round 3 right now. Yeah, because
Taylor in round 3.
You're not going to see him this year or much at all.
I thought he was very raw. I said that. I mean, I'm excited about his potential, but if we see him year 1, something went wrong. He's a big project, and the fact that they took him in round 3. I mean, he's got tools. He's got athleticism. He's got I mean, I don't even know if he has instincts. He played a weird position. But again, I mean, Patrick Queen. So I'm just reading the chat. I wish we had Patrick Queen. Then you wouldn't have Jalen Reagor. Because Patrick Queen was taken in round 1.
He's just saying that we wish he had him. Just
relax.
He's not saying. We know Dakota. Dakota's not saying he wish he would take Reagor.
I would like Pat Mahomes on my team. I would like all these guys on my team.
All right, man.
It's just not going to happen. It's just not. Everything's going to be fine. The overreaction's nuts, man. We got to get better. We got to get better at the overreacting. Take things slowly.
I mean, yeah, I guess.
What are you frustrated about? Let's talk about it.
Because I just look at these drafts and I'm like, I look at the past drafts and I'm like, there are all these positions that they have to like have new starters in, or have younger players in, or have rookies step up in, or your 2 players step up in to get rid of these older salary type players. Miles Sanders is it. Since 2017, Miles Sanders is the first 3 rounds is it. Jalen Reagor will be it too, though. I have no doubt in my mind. No doubt in my mind. But those 2 are probably going to be it.
We'll see.
We hope the best for Andre Dillard, but I mean that. I'm kind of not really. I think Andre Dillard could be good. I'm worried where his head's going to be at when he gets back. He was already having confidence issues now, one whole lost season. That's a whole different conversation. But right now, Goddard too. Yeah, duh. I'm an idiot. Yeah, Dylan's right. I'm an idiot. Whatever. Goddard is another one. So Sanders, Goddard, Reagor.
This draft is going to be a good draft. Rager's solid.
I think Hightower would be good. I just don't know when it's going to happen. It's not going to happen this year. I don't think it's going to happen this year.
Again, a week 1 loss shouldn't.
It's not an overreaction. I would have said this before week 1. I think John Hightower.
Then why weren't we having these conversations heading into the season?
I would have definitely told you I don't think John Hightower is going to make a huge impact his rookie year.
But we're already like doubting a 4th round pick or a 5th round. He was 5th round.
But
5th.
I'm not doubting him. I just don't think he's going to produce as much as rookie year. That was it.
And it took a week 1 loss for you to.
No, I felt that way from the beginning. No, there's too many mouths to feed.
I disagree. I think John Hightower will absolutely be a solid pro.
Goddard, Ertz, Jackson. Well, I don't know now because they don't even play Jackson anymore. But Reagor.
Overall, don't
even use J-Jaw, so
don't let one fucking game dictate how the fuck you feel towards a team. That's all I ask.
So maybe you're right about John Hightower though, because they didn't use J-Jaw, they didn't use Jackson. Maybe they do favor that guy, so maybe he will.
Hightower will be fine. Driscoll will be fine. This team is not nearly in bad of shape as people are making it seem, but. What are you going to do?
This is all for the. I mean,
people like to be negative, man. I'm not a negative guy. I don't like being negative. It's not fun. I just don't understand.
I think they can win this week. All right, let's end it. We've been on air for a while, man. We've been talking a lot. What's the game score? Because I think it's going to be 16-10 Eagles.
16? No, I think the offense will. I think the Peterson and Wentz especially. I think we'll see Wentz locked in. I don't know, early. 27-14. 27-14 Birds. I don't think Jared Goff plays well. I think Jared Goff traveling to the East Coast. playing against this D-line. I wish there was a crowd. If this was a live game in Philadelphia at Lincoln Financial Field, I think this would be a blowout because I think Jared Goff really struggles with pressure. But I think crowd noise in Philly helps the pressure. So I'm curious to see how they do.
Dylan says 23-17 Birds.
Hurts
That's a good prediction.
A-Rob and OBJ.
He's kidding, man. He's kidding. He's trolling. He says trolling.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah. You don't got to read the whole entire chat. Everybody sees the chat. Well, everybody on Periscope sees what he's saying. But yeah, I don't think it's gonna be that high scoring of a game. I think Jalen Ramsey plays pretty well. But I do think, I mean, they win 16-10. I have them winning 16-10.
I wouldn't mind it. I think this team will be in a lot of defensive battles.
I mean, at least Miles Sanders and Lane Johnson are playing. That's huge. So I mean, it could either go. I think the offense could either go off or again win 16-10. I think there's a lot of possibilities. The rust is there, dude. That's another thing. Like the rust is there. There was a lot of unknowns going into that week one, and I think people are kind of overlooking that. You can't go into the game and expect it, and then the biggest difference is they went up 17-0. If they their weakest unit going into that game was facing Washington the strongest, so the matchup wasn't great.
And so when they got out to that start, fans were like, "Oh shit, we look good." And then shit happened, but going into that game, don't forget how many deficiencies this team had. I mean, there was a lot of things. I mean, when you lose as many players, skilled players, and, I mean, offensive line as this team did, it's not easy to overcome. I mean, getting off to the hot start was amazing, but...
Let's end this real quick. So we will do a live, I want to say pregame show. Are we going to do pregame this weekend? We're going to do postgame.
What do the people want? I don't know. I'm down for whatever.
I'm down for whatever. I like the pregame because the going over. I mean, you had a good pick. I had a good pick. You had Devontae Adams. I had Josh Jacobs. Those were two huge picks for.
Those were pretty solid picks.
I mean, we can go ahead and do the pregame show to our DFS lineups. Get them out there, man. Yeah, make everybody some money.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you guys for tuning in. You can catch the podcast everywhere. Giovanni, first episode of Philly Sports with Giovanni just came out. You can listen to that as well. But we'll upload this later too, so we'll catch you guys there. Thanks for tuning in.